Patrick Christys tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
I think the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christys tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m, I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight, a Manchester airport thug has been found guilty of assaulting 2 female police officers, and
there is a very good chance that this boat, later today, will end up in the Channel, if not in Dover.
I've got a big exclusive for you. The French let a man who'd been found guilty of supplying small boats walk free from prison. Plus...
Veterans, you know, we've not come over here in a boat. We've served our country. We're getting nothing.
Tonight, we take a stand. We can't treat veterans worse than illegal immigrants, and... well, our dear king has launched a diversity drive. Is that a mistake? Also...
we celebrate every different culture, like Black History Month, different festivities of different religions.
I reveal all the woke rubbish the NHS wastes your money on, and...
that His Majesty's government therefore intends to recognise the state of Palestine.
Hamas claim victory as Sir Keir Starmer and David Lammy, so they'll recognise Palestine as a state. But a British girl who spent 15 months as a Hamas hostage has slammed the Prime Minister. And this is the aftermath of one of the world's largest earthquakes.
It's 6:30. We've been watching. I just got home, 3 hours of traffic.
On my panel tonight, we've got Conservative MP Esther McVeigh, we've got the Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Oh, and the new Jet 2 advert looks a bit strange, doesn't it?
Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person.
Get ready, Britain, here we go. The French are letting small boat smugglers walk free. Next.
Very good evening to you. It's 9:02. Your headlines. The government says it's working closely with UK's air traffic control to understand the cause of a technical issue that caused major disruption this afternoon. More than 120 flights have been cancelled so far across all UK airports. Air traffic control provider NATS says the system has been restored, but a 20-minute outage earlier was the problem, and further delays and cancellations are being reported. Ryanair has called for the head of the body to resign over what they've described as an outrageous technical error. A student's been found guilty of assaulting 2 female police officers and a member of the public at Manchester Airport last summer. A jury at Liverpool Crown Court found Mohammed Fahir Ahmed, on the right of your picture, guilty on 3 counts of assault. The jury was unable to reach a verdict on 1 further count of assault on another police officer involving Mr Ahmad and his brother, Mohammed Ahmad. There will be now a retrial on that charge. It's been welcomed by Greater Manchester Police. The chairman of its federation, Mike Peake, said it shows the worst side of police work his officers are faced with. Palestine Action's been granted permission to challenge its ban by the UK government as a terror organisation. The High Court has ruled the Home Secretary's prescription of the group under anti-terror laws should be reviewed. Yvette Cooper banned the organisation last month after activists caused an estimated £7 million worth of damage to military planes at RAF Bryce Norton. The group, though, has failed in its bid for a temporary pause of the ban until that challenge is heard at the High Court. Donald Trump's special envoy will travel to Israel tomorrow to discuss the crisis in Gaza. Steve Witkoff will address the ongoing lack of humanitarian aid after the US president expressed concern about images of starving children earlier this week. It will be Mr Witkoff's first trip there in 3 months and comes less than a week after ceasefire talks in Qatar broke down. The Hamas-run health ministry says another 7 people have died from malnutrition in Gaza since Tuesday and says 154 in total have died since the beginning of the war, including 89 children. And Ozzy Osbourne's family joined fans in paying an emotional farewell to the heavy metal star during a procession in Birmingham. An emotional Sharon Osbourne, who was married to Ozzy for more than 4 decades, added a rose to hundreds of floral tributes and balloons that have been laid around the Black Sabbath bench. People in the crowd chanted his name. She was joined by family members, including children Kelly and Jack. Tens of thousands of fans gathered in the city earlier to pay their respects as Ozzy's body was transported in a hearse topped by a purple floral tribute in the shape of a cross. A private funeral is expected to take place tomorrow. Those are your headlines. More coming up at 10 o'clock.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good evening. I can reveal that the French are letting key members of illegal migrant smuggling gangs walk free from prison. French police stopped a man in the dead of night transporting an inflatable boat, a motor and 5 cans of gasoline to a town called Gravelines in northern France. Now, you might remember, actually, when I went to Gravelines and, believe it or not, this is what I found. Very sturdy stuff. It seems, I'm not sure I'd fancy it on the high seas, but quite a soft bottom. So you've got the outboard motor here. The smell of gasoline. The smell of gasoline comes through. So they caught a bloke red-handed with exactly that, in the back of a truck. And he happened to be a 29-year-old Ukrainian man who'd been living in Germany for a couple of years. All the boats used to get migrants into Britain from the French coast originate from Germany. A loophole allows those boats to be stored there because they're destined for Britain, which is a non-EU country, something that Sir Keir Starmer claims to have just stopped.
To thank Friedrich for his leadership on this, pledging decisive action to strengthen German law this year so that small boats being stored or transported in Germany can be seized, disrupting the route to the UK. And it's a clear sign that we mean business. We are coming after the criminal gangs in every way that we can.
So the police stopped this bloke and he said that he saw an advert for a transport service on Facebook where he was offered €230 to transport a delivery to Brussels. Then, during the journey, the location was changed to nearby the town of Gravelines in northern France, which is a long way away from Brussels. He claimed, he thought, oh, he had no idea what he was transporting. No idea. Anyway, he was found guilty of transporting nautical equipment for the purposes of illegal immigration. And the prosecutor, naturally, wanted a custodial sentence. So, what do we think the French judge gave him? An 8-month suspended sentence, and he just left France. In fact, he's been banned from entering France for nearly 5 years, and he's had his car confiscated. I mean, do you remember when Sir Keir Starmer made such a big deal about getting Emmanuel Macron to help tackle the small boats? Yeah, they've just let him out, haven't they? This is why we need to control our own borders and start deporting people ourselves. Even when the French police catch a bloke red-handed with an inflatable boat, an engine and tanks of petrol on his way to a town where illegal migrants set off for Britain, a French judge will just send him on his way. Oh, and meanwhile, today...
There's no doubt it's a grim milestone, and we can confirm to you now that more than 25,000 small boat migrants have crossed the English Channel since the beginning of the year. 600 plus have crossed today alone, all 600 having reached UK waters, and all have been taken to Dover Harbour. The figure is somewhere in the region of 620 odd so far today.
Well, that report was a few hours ago, and now the figure is almost 900. 900 today alone. It's hopeless, isn't it? Let's get thoughts of my panel. Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood. We've got the Tory MP, Esther McVeigh, journalist and broadcaster, Nina Mishkov. Mark, so we can reveal there exclusively that the French police caught a bloke with a small boat, an outboard motor and loads of petrol in a town where they are setting off from, and they've let him go.
It looks like the French courts didn't get the smash the gangs memo from Keir Starmer, right? I mean, look, I look at this in a very kind of economic incentive way. Those involved in the people smuggling and those who avail themselves of their services are actually making pretty logical mathematical calculations. What's the chance I'm going to get caught? If I am caught, what sort of penalty am I going to face? And if I avoid getting caught, how much money can I make? And at the moment, all of those favour the people smugglers and the people using them. Because even if you're caught, we now know that the penalty is pretty limited. So I'm not at all sure this entente cordiale with France is working at all well. There is only a limited amount that we can do to change the way that the French courts process this. So we've got to pull the levers that are actually in our own hands, which means if you arrive illegally, we should not entertain you staying here. You should certainly not be given a hotel. And all this diplomatic pressure that was going to be brought to bear on President Macron seems to have led absolutely nowhere. What a farce.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely ludicrous, isn't it? There's a bloke here, like I said, who's just been caught red-handed, totally red-handed, doesn't even get a prison sentence.
Yeah, I agree with Mark, and then I'll add on to that. You've got, as well, a whole host of people who are prepared to do various elements of the smuggling. In this case, it was bringing the boat across. Now, this is like, and you think they would have learned from county lines. So you've got somebody right down the pecking order who's just getting a location, just getting some of the equipment, and he's got sort of a get-out. So he is right down. So whenever Keir Starmer was talking about smashing the gangs, let's get real, he didn't have a chance. He should have listened to how difficult it is to do drugs and how difficult it is to do county lines. So, as you rightly say, we have got to take it into our own control and responsibility, not hands over to the people. And I've said Parliament needs to be recalled. This is a state of emergency, the numbers for immigration. We need to get everybody back. We've got to agree on what we're going to do, dust down the Rwanda plan immediately, because that's basically what Trump has based his scheme on, which has pretty much stopped all of the immigrants coming over the Mexican border. He's got to do that. And then, as we all know, we've got to get out the ECHR and we've got to stop the Human Rights Act.
Well, just Nina, on this, over the course of the last week or so, I think we've given irrefutable proof that the French are not actually our friends. So they're doing naff all in these migrant camps. Yesterday I revealed as well that there have been like mass shootings in some of these places. The French aren't going in and getting rid of these human traffickers or clearing the camps. And today we can reveal again that a bloke who's caught with a boat is just allowed to walk free. No question, by the way, he's just not allowed back in France. You know, off you go, we'll drop you off at the border, go back somewhere else. He can carry on doing whatever he's doing for the people smugglers. I mean, this is a farce. They are not helping us at all, are they?
Well, this particular judge, and I agree, it's ludicrous that it's quite obvious that what he was up to, and he should have been punished for that. But obviously, these things take time. You cannot just turn the tap off. And I think Keir Starmer is working pretty hard at it. You know, the schmoozing with Macron, you know, the royal visit, the state visit a couple of weeks ago, that's only a couple of weeks ago. It's got to filter down to a judge.
900 people crossed today, Niamh.
Yes, but then it's only the last few days or last week or so that the French police have been legally allowed to go into the water to stop the boats. It's only a couple of weeks since he made a deal with Merz of Germany that should be made illegal. That law is going to come in. Listen, we've had years of the Tories losing control of the borders. You cannot just, you know, suddenly drop.
I find a few things pretty offensive, actually. Not what you said, but what was going on. I mean, that deal with Germany that was supposed to stop the transportation of these boats, that guy got caught a couple of weeks ago. So supposedly that deal with the Germans would have already come in, or
no, it's going to come in by the. It's got to go through their parliament.
It'll have to go through their parliament. Fine, okay, fine. But the point here is the Germans have been content for warehouses full of small boats to be stored in their warehouses and then funneled through various countries and then into Britain, because the destination for those boats is Britain, which is outside the EU.
Why should they care?
But they're coming in illegally. It's not like you're posting a package, is it? It's they know it gets to Calais.
Look, Starmer is asleep at the wheel. It has absolutely gone through the roof since he's been in office. Whilst everything is happening at the moment, he doesn't want to know what's going on. He's been out of the country. In fact, what he's doing, the first thing he's doing is bringing in a snooping law, basically on law-abiding citizens, to stop them complaining.
He's bringing in a law to prevent our children from being encouraged to commit suicide, from being exposed to porn.
Totally separate parts of it.
No, it's
honestly,
not.
You kind of defend him all the time.
I'm not defending him. I didn't vote for him.
Anything.
I am not. I'm just being absolutely fair.
I
mean, totally fair, which you are not.
Is on other things and not the British public.
Isn't the key thing here? I rather disagree with Nina, actually. I don't think that the Prime Minister needs to work harder. I think he's got to work smarter and tougher. I don't think this is a question of perspiration and sort of...
I didn't say he's working...
Well, you said he's putting in a lot of hard work. The hard work is pointless unless you have a smart and tough
have a plan.
Strategy.
He's got a plan with France, he's got a plan they've got a plan with Syria now. They're going to have the same kind of deal with Syria that we have with Albania. That's going to help.
He's had a year. You should be able to announce the outline of your strategy in days. We're more than a year in now, and progress is not being made. We're going backwards.
You should never have got rid of Rwanda when he didn't know what he was going to do. And we've just seen that has worked for Trump. You can indeed.
Right. OK, Rwanda. 300 hotel rooms.
No, but this isn't true. You've said this before. It's already increased. It already increased the size of scale.
Just answer the question. After the 300 hotel rooms were full, which is a plane load, then what?
No, see, this is where you don't know what you're talking about.
I do know what I'm sorry, but I do.
They've already escalated the numbers. They're already building it up. And like I said...
Come on. To what? Thousands? 50,000?
Yeah, you've got to build that sort of... That's exactly the capacity you've got to build.
They haven't got it. They haven't got it. And it was our own Supreme Court who judged that Rwanda was not a safe place.
Outrageous decision.
We've got an open border globalist as a leader, and it seems like you're one too, Nina.
I'm not an open border globalist.
Bring Mark in, because this story here...
I am not.
Look, there's a basket of things that the French are supposed to be doing now. So, firstly, just basic police work in these camps, which is not happening. Then you've got the idea that they are supposed to be helping to tackle human traffickers in their country. That does not appear to be happening. We've shown that. And then you've got, when you catch someone red-handed, not actually prosecuting them or prosecuting them and not putting them in prison. You know, does Keir Starmer have the bottle, do you think, ever to go to Emmanuel Macron and say, look, mate, what are you doing?
Well, he should be able to do that. This is why I've always argued our relationship with the French should not be a grant. It should be payment by results. You know, I know that sounds a bit Wild West of putting a bounty on people's heads, but I want to know how many people they've caught, how many people they've imprisoned, how many gangs they've shut down, and we'll work out a fair price for policing that.
Mark, I kind of think the answer has to be that both have a win-win, and actually France has got to to do Rwanda with the UK, and it's not passing people between them, it's going straight to Rwanda, and we both have a win-win.
Surely this shows, Mark, that we have no other option but to start mass deportations ourselves. We can try to talk to the Germans about it, we can get them to sign something that has to go through their parliament at some point by the end of the year. Then we can try to do stuff with the French, we can give them a load of money. The ultimate thing has to be, irrefutably now, that we deport people ourselves.
Absolutely that. And what we're doing is we're picking them up off the beach and moving them into a hotel. I mean, every signal we're sending is that we are a soft touch and it is pretty easy to get here, and once you are here, it is pretty hard to get rid of you.
Why aren't we processing them faster?
No.
Why aren't we processing them faster?
Well, quite.
Is it because the Home Office, which has never been fit for purpose, is still not fit for purpose, and that people are working from home and playing golf rather than...
Can I just say, when people destroy the documentation, you can't send them anywhere, and that's why you needed a third country,
you need to be tough on these people.
Was Rwanda.
You need to be tough on these people. I was picking up what the Greeks do on this. If you turn up without any documentation, they say, well, where are you from then? And you say you're from Kabul or Baghdad. They then bring in an expert to cross-examine you about, all right, what's your favourite restaurant in Kabul?
Yeah.
How's the local transport system work? And if you hesitate, deviate, or do not come across as credible, you're out.
Yeah.
We aren't as tough here, and we need to bring in those sort of techniques that have worked well in other European countries.
Yeah, but this is the kind of thing that I don't think either Emmanuel Macron or Sir Keir Starmer wants you to know about, which is, like I've said before, bloke caught red-handed with a boat, an outboard motor, and a load of gasoline in the back of his van at a migrant hotspot, let off by the courts. He's free to wander around Europe going forward. I don't think they want that stuff brought to your attention, but, you know, well, here we are. Anyway, coming up, Richmond Council is actually reportedly offering free gym and swim classes for so-called sanctuary seekers, along with discounted restaurant meals and Pilates classes. So, is it a particularly good use of taxpayers' money? The locals have to pay for it all, but next...
The Quran says, God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear.
Well, the King has apparently launched a diversity drive. Is that the right thing to do? Stay tuned.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight. On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Is the King right to launch a diversity drive? It's time for the head-to-head. Yeah, seriously, King Charles is on a diversity drive. The palace has hailed a Ramadan meal and an LGBT plus history lecture as a shining example of the King's, quote, momentous commitment to diversity. Well, it certainly shows commitment, that's for sure. However, is it the right thing to do? The King is the head of the Church of England. Does an iftar meal and an LGBT lecture really fit in with the teachings of the Church? On the other hand, times are changing, but the monarchy needs to stay relevant. Maybe King Charles is getting ahead of the curve with measures such as these, but I don't know. Go woke, go broke and all of that. Joining me now is political commentator and woke show staple, it says in my script there, Benjamin Butterworth. Thank you very much, mate. And writer and royal commentator, Alexander Larman. Thank you. So, Alexander, I'll start with you. Is the King mistaken to launch a diversity drive?
Well, Patrick, I mean, on the one hand, he is the King of Britain. He has to speak to all his subjects, and so he has to speak to people of all faiths and all backgrounds. So I have no objection to his hosting a Ramadan meal or to having an LGBTQ event. What I object to is he seems to have lost any interest in dealing with the Anglican faith, and indeed looking at the people who, superficially at least, he is defending, because he is defender of the faith. And the question that I have to ask is, does he really care? Because I was speaking to a friend saying I was going on tonight, she asked me, has he converted to Islam? And the fact that that can be asked quite seriously is just saying a lot about how we've got to this stage where it's very hard to look at the King and think, does he personally believe in any of this? Or is he being told to do it by his advisors? Because if it's the former, then, you know, you can say he's the woke king and all the rest of it. And if it's the latter, you can say, well, you're just looking a bit weak, a bit unfocused. You're not looking like this figure who you should be.
Yeah, I mean, Benjamin, in times when people think that the government is a complete circus, which we do now, and that society has changed massively and that we're all in a little bit of a mess, you do then look upwards for leadership, and upwards from the government is the King. And I wonder whether things like an iftar or relentless drive for woke causes is really what this country needs at the moment. Is the King wrong to be doing all this stuff?
Well, of course, it's not for the King to offer any kind of political leadership. It's for him to be a symbol that unifies Britain. Now, if you remember, when he came to the throne, he pledged to be defender of the faiths, not just the faith, which was notable in his commitment to modern Britain. Now, the idea that he should somehow exclude considerable chunks of British life, of the fabric of modern Britain, I think would be a dereliction of duty as the monarch. You know, whether you're one of the millions of Muslims in this country, and by the way, you know, migrants to this country that have come in the last 50 years, many of them are more visibly patriotic than some native-born Britons, so he's right to embrace that. But also, the fact is that LGBT people, gay people like me, have contributed massively to this country. And I think the idea that monarchs simply ignored that part of British life for generations is what we should be complaining about, not the fact that there has been one mild acknowledgement by the King.
Yeah, I get that, but I think most people, Alexander, often feel as though your stereotypical British person is often at the back of the queue. In fact, I'm doing a story after this, which is that yet again we found another local council where if you just arrived in Britain illegally, you can get a free gym membership, swimming lessons, and a load of other stuff as well. Is it not time that someone stood up for kind of quotes unquote native Brits? Really, is that not part of the King's job here?
Well, it might be the King's job, but he's not going to do it, because I think that seeing Charles as somebody who's interested in the average one of his subjects is to put far too much faith in him, because as we saw a couple of weeks ago, there's rather embarrassing revelations about what he does in Highgrove. He isn't somebody who's particularly good at dealing with everyday people. And I think what you can say instead is he's very good at doing things for a focus group. He's very good at doing things that somebody tells him to do if he thinks there's going to be something in it for him. And I think we can see a lot of these things about the Ramadan and about this LGBTQ meeting as basically someone's probably bounced him into it, because it was interesting, not that long ago, Peter Tatchell, of all people, said Charles has no interest in gay rights. He's never made any kind of public statements about it. And you think to yourself, this kind of thing gets noticed, this kind of thing gets acted on. But of course, I just see it as superficial. I don't see it as something he's actually believing in.
Benjamin, for a long time, I thought it was actually really unfair for a lot of people to say the royal family's out of touch on account of how wealthy they are, and that they've got this huge amount of, of course, privilege, and they live in massive houses and all of that. And I thought it was a bit mean, that, really, because there's not a huge amount that they can do about that, in a sense. That's kind of who they are. Like when the Queen did that Christmas message and people were criticising she had a gold piano, it's like, well, obviously she's got a gold piano, she's the Queen, right? But when it comes to this now I think, well, actually, is King Charles very out of touch? Does he get that the mood of the nation at the moment is probably not necessarily pro-iftar in Windsor Castle? The mood of the nation is not there with him about all of this kind of woke stuff, and he risks losing his base.
But I resent this idea. First of all, that's the whole point, right? The king doesn't have a base. He has the country, and he is here to offer leadership and unity on a basic level to all of us. You know, I don't mind that the king has or the Queen, both of them had a gold piano. What I mind is that they don't involve all Britons. And I think actually it's you, Patrick, who is so painfully out of touch. And if we were to have a country where the king rejected the millions of Muslims, many of whom I suspect...
It's not about rejecting them. It's about maybe relentlessly doing things that are only geared towards them. And I can't really think of a huge example. I don't know. You might be able to correct me. I don't know, Alexander. Can you think of a time recently where it's been, I don't know, more overtly about kind of like Middle England Christians? Has he done something about that recently?
Well, what I've been very interested in recently is that the new Archbishop of Canterbury has yet to be appointed. Now, although Charles himself is not directly involved in choosing who it is, you would expect him to be very interested, because he's a man who apparently had quite a lot in common with Justin Welby. They used to have long, detailed conversations together. Now, given what's come out about Justin Welby, given how flawed we know him to be, you would suggest that the king must have found that quite embarrassing. But of course, the fact is that he hasn't done anything to try and find a new Archbishop of Canterbury. He hasn't put himself forward to say, I will be defender of this particular Anglican faith, and I will be somebody who will show some kind of interest in it. So no, I don't.
Final words for you, Benjamin. We are a bit pressed for time, but look, okay, all right. Am I being a bit unfair here? You know, he's got a monumental job, a country that's a melting pot, and actually, it's not his fault that no one's ever taken him to Tower Hamlets.
I think it's farcical that you think the head of the British Empire doesn't represent rich white Christians enough. That's absurd. I think whether you're a practicing Muslim or a practicing homosexual like me, you should be celebrated by the king, and you should be celebrated by the Institute of the Monarchy. And I hope that the King Charles does more LGBT celebrations and more iftars in Windsor Castle.
OK, all right, thank you very much. That's Benjamin Butterworth there, and writer and royal commentator Alexander Larman. Well, here we go. Yes, I nearly forgot about this. How could I let you go without mentioning it's the final week to see how you could become £54,321 richer in our great British giveaway. Now, lines close on Friday, the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. Here's all the details you need.
There's only 2 days left to see how you could be our biggest cash winner to date. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. You have to hurry, as lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, astonishing new research from the Taxpayers Alliance. OK, well, we're back. Reveals that the NHS has blown £2 million on woke sessions, including International Pronouns Day and embracing your afro hair. How are the waiting lists getting on, anyone? You're finding it easier to get an NHS appointment now, or no? But how is your afro hair? Anyway, next though, Richmond Council is reportedly offering free gym and swimming classes for sanctuary seekers, that's asylum seekers to you and me, along with discounted restaurant meals and Pilates classes. Why are we all paying for anything? Stay tuned.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat wave is now easing across parts of Greece and also parts of Turkey, but elsewhere across Europe, still some humid air creating thundery downpours. But across the west, particularly across Portugal, Spain, most of France, it's largely dry, plenty of sunshine. But across parts of Germany, northern parts of Italy, still a chance of some quite intense thundery downpours. And also still across parts of Greece and Bulgaria, we could start to see some outbreaks of rain. But otherwise, for the large majority, plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A thunderstorm warning has been issued for tomorrow across central and southeastern parts of England, so a chance that we could start to see some travel disruption. But for the time being, high pressure remaining largely dominant, particularly across the southwest. But this at times swinging in frontal systems, so that means more cloud, also some light outbreaks of rain to end the day across Scotland. But for many, for most of the night, it should remain mostly dry. Then we need to draw our attention to areas of Wales, central parts of England. We'll start to see some showery outbreaks move their way through across dawn, and for all it is going to be quite a mild and muggy night to come. Some towns and cities not dropping much past 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. Then during the early hours of the morning across Scotland, once again it's set to be quite cloudy, possibly quite murky at times. Light outbreaks of rain in western areas, but across Aberdeenshire, some of these areas of rain could turn quite heavy at times. A chance of some showers across Northern Ireland, but northern parts of England should remain mostly dry. Now, still plenty of showers across parts of Wales, perhaps some isolated showers too across parts of the southeast. And through the morning, we'll start to see more and more of these showers across the south, banding together to give persistent outbreaks of rain at times. And into the afternoon, this could also turn thundery, so we're likely to see some hail and also some frequent lightning. Also a chance we could see some thundery showers across eastern parts of Scotland and northeastern parts of England. But elsewhere, particularly across the west, there should still be plenty of sunshine. Another warm, muggy day to come, highs once again reaching around 25 degrees Celsius across the south. Now we'll see those showers ease away Thursday night, which means a much brighter day on Friday. Still a chance of showers mainly across eastern coasts, but these should be mostly light to moderate, and it could be quite breezy at times too across eastern coastal areas, but mostly dry into Saturday. Different story on Sunday though, as we see a return of outbreaks of rain move in from the west, but still once again warm in any sunshine.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back. A Lib Dem council is handing out free gym memberships, swimming sessions and exercise classes to asylum seekers. Lucky for some, isn't it? Richmond Council is offering a so-called sanctuary seeker all of that for free, whilst hard-working residents are required to fork out £52.50 a month for the gym and the swimming services. So you and I pay 52 quid for, you know, bit of a gym, bit of a swim. Illegal migrant, have it for free. This comes after we revealed another council was allowing them to have half-price Lime bikes. Another council as well was giving them 100 quid off school uniforms. I'm starting to think, well, why are we paying for anything? Anyway, I'm joined now by the 2024 Conservative candidate for Richmond Park and North Kingston, Sarah Ghazdari. Sarah, thank you very much.
Hi, Patrick.
This seems a bit unfair on people who actually work and pay tax and came to Britain legally, doesn't it?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. This is about fairness on local residents. Many people understand that there is a need for basic support, but gym, swim memberships, paddleboarding lessons, that looks a bit like a corporate perk, doesn't it? And don't get me wrong, I completely understand what it means to, seek sanctuary for a very disadvantaged background. I myself fled Albania in 1997 as a very young girl, because of the civil war and because of young girls like me were being sold to the international prostitution market. And I was very lucky because I was able to go to Italy and study, but I was given education. I wasn't given a gym membership, and I didn't have a gym membership until I actually was able to afford it myself. So I think, especially at the time where the Liberal Democrats have high council tax amongst the highest in the country, we're paying around £200 for a band D at the moment per month, 52.50 pounds. It does seem that is a bit too much, doesn't it? And the real question is, are we giving the same amount of benefits to local residents that are on benefits? For example, they have disabilities or they're unemployed. Well, actually, the answer is we're not. They have to pay £30 a month. So we're just giving a slightly discount.
Oh, that's fascinating. So if you had a disability or you were on benefits and you wanted to join that same gym and attend the same swimming classes...
You're paying £30 a month.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Do you get any free meals at restaurants thrown in for that?
No. Well, you've got local charities eventually, but that's about it.
It's just shocking, isn't it? I am going to hesitate here and just say, I think this is what you get, if not you personally, obviously, but this is what you get if you relentlessly elect a Lib Dem/Green council, isn't it? And I wonder whether or not, are the people going to wake up to this at some point? Because for me, I mean, I know a few people who live in Richmond, and I can tell you now, the reason they moved to Richmond was to get away from some of the things that were going on in more central London areas. And now it feels to me as though maybe they've decided to elect a load of people that want to welcome that in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But there are so many things that are happening in Richmond at the moment as we speak. For example, we've got the Twickenham police station that is about to close, and that was the only police station in the surrounding area. We've got Kingston still open, but that's about it. We had Richmond Park, that closed down. We've got Twickenham, that's closing down. And I'm not sure if the Lib Dem MP, Sarah Aldney, has ever been on a night ride along with the police. I have, the moment I got selected as the candidate, and seen what happens in the constituency during the night. But that's something that I would urge on every politician, especially the Mayor of London, to eventually do, to understand exactly where we are. And where we are at the moment is not looking good, Patrick, and I'm generally very, very worried. And we're living in Richmond under Lib Dem council, but we're also living in London under Labour Mayor.
We are. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is that it was earlier this week or late last week, we did Wandsworth Council. That was one of them as well. And there's been a few councils now. And actually what's happening is the more and more you look at various different councils, the more you see that there are huge numbers of incentives for people who have come to Britain illegally. And meanwhile, people's council tax seems to be going up. Left, right and centre, doesn't it? And I wonder at what point people are going to go, the social contract is broken, Sarah, enough is enough now. Where's my perk?
Absolutely, enough is enough. And as I said before, we're paying one of the highest council tax. I think only Kingston is above us, to be honest. And I think people in Richmond need to have a vote and a say on what comes next. I think also it goes to a very important issue, which is this a democratic government, local government? And the answer is it is not. They have a full control of the council. They have a full control of the area of the southwest, of the Greater London Assembly. And one of the biggest and best democracies in the world is the one that has a very strong opposition. And when you are unopposed, that's when you've got a free pass and you can do whatever you want. But I wouldn't call it democracy anymore.
But it's bonkers that the taxpayers' money is going for this. Tower Hamlets, you can get free mother tongue classes. So if your mum and dad happen to be from Somalia, right? If they happen to be from Somalia, you can go to a town hall somewhere and learn the language that they presumably should just be teaching you at home for free. Taxpayers will pay that. Obviously, you look at things that's going on with the Britannia Hotel in London, in Canary Wharf now. That's emergency overflow accommodation for illegal immigrants. I'm doing a story later on about veterans that are about to be made homeless. All of this is priorities, isn't it? But we're going to have... Sorry, we could talk all night about this, but I am going to have to go now. Sorry. But thank you very much. And I'll see you soon. Sarah Gastari there, who is the 2024 Conservative candidate for Richmond Park and North Kingston. We're going to keep doing this. We're just going to keep identifying local councils where they're giving perks to illegal immigrants and not you. But, yes, there we are. So, oh, gosh, here we go. A Richmond Council spokesman has said the fairer and free access schemes provide discounts or free access to some activities at our sports and fitness centres and is available to a number of eligible residents in Richmond, including pensioners, carers and those living with disabilities. Richmond Council is committed to creating supportive and inclusive environments for sanctuary seekers, offering a range of services to enable their integration to local communities. Right, coming up.
We celebrate every different culture, like Black History Month, different festivities of different religions.
Get ready to find out what the NHS is blowing your money on. Spoiler alert, some of it is an International Pronouns Day and a workshop called Embracing Your Afro Hair. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's News Channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Well, this is time for another bonkers story for you, and it involves, well, yeah, your money, actually. So even though we have patients stuck on waiting lists, sometimes in hospital corridors as well, ambulances queuing up for hours, doctors striking for a massive pay rise, some NHS trusts have somehow found nearly £2 million to splash on, quote, woke staff events. So we've got diversity days, we've got inclusive coffee mornings, we've got, well, I mean, loads of other stuff as well, all while a system is on its knees. Well, I'm very pleased now to be joined by the investigations campaign manager at the Taxpayers Alliance. It's Joanna Marchog. So there we go. Thank you very much for joining us. What's going on then? What's this mad stuff?
Yes, thanks for having me on. I think the best place to start is that in a lot of these public sectors, in these organisations, you are now made to have, and it's normal to have, staff networks. And that is very much, you have them for any kind of protected group. BAME is in all of them, kind of like interfaith, you can have branches off. Some of these trusts, like the worst offenders, had 11 different groups that staff could join, and they will basically be able to have meetings every week to get together like minds. Do you know what I mean? You talk about, you know, your experiences and being a woman, for example. You know, you have loads to go on, I'm sure. So you have the meetings every week or every month, and then you have events that they'll put on. And essentially, you're talking about staff time being wasted, especially in these key areas in the NHS. And you have the time being taken off for events that could last 2 hours, could last half a day. You're talking about full days sometimes.
So is some of this, sorry to interrupt, but so is some of this taking place during work hours? So it's like, right, if I just stood up now, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I've got to go to my, I don't know, straight white man's group or something. Probably wouldn't have that much traction, but is that kind of thing? I'd just disappear, I'd be able to say, right, I'm off.
So a lot of these events, so when I sent the Freedom of Information requests to all of the NHS trusts, I'm asking specifically date, time. They're all during working time. A lot of them, maybe, NHS trusts will come back and say, well, actually, it didn't cost anything for these people to come together, they brought their own food, but it's the time they're taking. So we have summer picnics being held in some of these areas, and you have it starting from 1 p.m, finishing at the end of the day, lasting the whole day. You have guest speakers coming in for 2 hours at a time. And this is all the time. On top of the meetings where they'll drag it on for ages. Never will it be during lunchtime hours. And obviously, I don't have to tell you that waiting lists are still very long. You have frontline care kind of going to the wayside. You have doctors striking, nurses thinking about striking, all the above. The list could go on. And yet we have staff that want pay rises now saying, well, you know, I deserve a picnic for half a day. I deserve to celebrate International Pronouns Day.
Yeah, I mean, did we understand quite what that is either? I mean,
no.
Right.
Descriptions are very, very minimal. I will say.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening, but you know they're celebrating and they're having fun and they're having potlucks, and we're embracing staff communities and, you know, being able to understand who you're working with. And that has to happen every week, every month, and you have to have events.
And what was one of them called something like getting to know your Afro hair or something? What was that?
And that's not... I know that made the headline on the Daily Mail, but every NHS trust, pretty much, I mean, you might have one or two that don't do it, but every NHS trust will now have a BAME group, will have their own kind of, you know, interfaith, celebrating of cultures. You need to be recognised. You need to understand that some people's hair is curly and some people's hair is straight, but we all need to find people like-minded. And
so why do you think they do it? Because, you know, this is very much, I would say, quite an aggressively private sector company where there are huge pressures on costs and staff efficiency and all of that. Otherwise, you know, well, we all go pop, really. And I know a lot of people run businesses like that. So there'll be a lot of small business owners watching this show now. who are hand-to-mouth, who are absolutely operating right at their limits. And, you know, if someone working for them takes a sick day, that causes them a massive problem. That means they don't go home that night, maybe, to their wife or their husband and children or whatever. They have to work the extra hours themselves because that's the margins that they're working in. But you've got an NHS here with a huge, you know, which you keep being told is underfunded, and they can do all of this stuff. I don't think the taxpayer will feel particularly happy about that.
Well, you're speaking to a wider problem, where the NHS is seeing the most money it's ever had being pumped into it. Productivity is stagnant. You're seeing the waiting lists, they might be coming down slightly due to being Wes Streeting being involved, but they're still quite long. You're still waiting. It's far from perfect. But again, they're putting kind of staff wellness, well-being. They're trying to appease everybody, and who they're forgetting is basically taxpayers. We're the ones picking up the bills and patients. And as we said before, it's £1.8 million being spent. You're talking about a broader issue where this isn't even the only thing. Seen today by the TPA, we put out that, you know, not only we have this talking about staff needs, you also have trade union representatives. You have over 200 trade union representatives employed by the NHS spending 100% of their time on trade union duties.
What?
So, yeah. And it's absolutely ridiculous. You have
and they're out on strike. But this is the point. We're literally paying people to get NHS staff out on strike.
Yeah.
OK, good. Right, well, on that note, thank you very much. And, it's just bonkers. Just when you think it couldn't get any more mad, it kind of... So, Joanna, thank you so much, and well done for every one of the taxpayers' lives for coming up with this research as well. You know, it is always great when you guys land something like Most Wasteful Council or whatever. It's always a great read. So thank you so much. An NHS spokesperson's been in touch. So I can't imagine why. Staff networks can play an important role, here we go, in retaining staff and reducing absenteeism, improving care and savings costs. Many staff events, including ones highlighted here, are run at no or very low cost. But where employers do invest in staff, it is important that care is taken to ensure it represents good value for taxpayers' money. Who am I to say that they're slightly fudging the numbers there? But anyway, well, coming up, the United States has joined Israel in accusing the UK of rewarding Hamas by recognising the state of Palestine. Hamas, by the way, have also claimed a victory. But coming up, this is a big story, I think. So I'm still absolutely furious about these veterans that we spoke to last night, 12 of them being booted out of their homes and being made homeless. I've been doing some digging into this today. I can't wait to bring you the results a little bit later on. So stay tuned for all of that. And, of course, the first look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages. See you in a sec.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A thunderstorm warning has been issued for tomorrow across central and southeastern parts of England, so a chance that we could start to see some travel disruption. But for the time being, high pressure remaining largely dominant, particularly across the southwest. But this at times swinging in frontal systems, so that means more cloud, also some light outbreaks of rain to end the day across Scotland. But for most of the night, it should remain mostly dry. Then we need to draw our attention to areas of Wales, central parts of England. We'll start to see some showery outbreaks move their way through across dawn, and for all it is going to be quite a mild and muggy night to come. Some towns and cities not dropping much past 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. Then during the early hours of the morning across Scotland, once again it's set to be quite cloudy, possibly quite murky at times. Light outbreaks of rain in western areas, but across Aberdeenshire, some of these areas of rain could turn quite heavy at times. A chance of some showers across Northern Ireland, but northern parts of England should remain mostly dry. Now, still plenty of showers across parts of Wales, perhaps some isolated showers too across parts of the southeast. And through the morning, we'll start to see more and more of these showers across the south, banding together to give persistent outbreaks of rain at times. And into the afternoon, this could also turn thundery, so we're likely to see some hail and also some frequent lightning. Also a chance we could see some thundery showers across eastern parts of Scotland and northeastern parts of England. But elsewhere, particularly across the west, there should still be plenty of sunshine. Another warm, muggy day to come, highs once again reaching around 25 degrees Celsius across the south. Now, we'll see those showers ease away Thursday night, which means a much brighter day on Friday. Still a chance of showers mainly across eastern coasts, but these should be mostly light to moderate, and it could be quite breezy at times too across eastern coastal areas, but mostly dry into Saturday. Different story on Sunday though, as we see a return of outbreaks of rain move in from the west, but still once again warm in any sunshine.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight, a Manchester airport thug has been found guilty of assaulting 2 female police officers and...
Veterans, you know, we've not come over here in a boat. We've served our country. We're getting nothing.
Tonight we take a stand. We can't treat veterans worse than illegal immigrants and...
that His Majesty's government therefore intends to recognise the state of Palestine.
Gosh, such a painful watch and listen, isn't it? Hamas claimed victory as Sir Keir Starmer says he'll recognise Palestine as a state. But the British girl who spent 15 months as a Hamas hostage has slammed the PM. Also tonight, today, the people said goodbye to an icon. Birmingham says farewell to the legendary Mr. Ozzy Osbourne. On My Pal tonight, we have got Director of Popular Conservatives Mark Littlewood. We've got the Tory MP Esther McVeigh and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. And this new Jet2 advert looks a bit weird.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person.
Get ready, Britain, here we go. If you fight for Britain, you're homeless. If you break into Britain, you get a 4-star hotel. Next.
Very good evening to you. Just after 10 o'clock, our headlines. More than 120 flights have been cancelled so far across all UK airports after an air traffic control issue. The provider, NATS, says it was radar related. The issue was resolved after 20 minutes. And they say there's no evidence it was cyber-related. The government says it will be working closely with air traffic control to understand the cause of the technical issue. A student has been found guilty of assaulting 2 female police officers and a member of the public at Manchester Airport last summer. A jury at Liverpool Crown Court found Mohammed Fahir Amaz, on the right of your screen, guilty on 3 counts of assault. They were unable to reach a verdict on a further count involving another police officer. The accusation is that Amaz and his brother Mohammed Ahmad assaulted him. That will now be a retrial that has been welcomed by Greater Manchester Police. Palestine Action's been granted permission to challenge its ban by the UK government as a terror organisation. The High Court's ruled the Home Secretary's prescription of the group under anti-terror laws should be reviewed. Yvette Cooper banned the organisation last month after activists broke into RAF Bryce Norton and spray-painted 2 military planes, causing £7 million worth of damage. However, the group has failed in a bid for a temporary pause of that ban until the challenge is heard at the High Court. The Health Secretary's warned striking doctors if they go to war with the government, they'll lose. Resident doctors finished a 5-day strike over pay on Wednesday morning, this morning. Writing in The Guardian, Wes Streeting says Labour will not meet the union's 29% pay demands, but says both sides can win the peace. Adding that doctors, though, have squandered the considerable goodwill they had with the government. He's invited the BMA for fresh talks next week to discuss working conditions, but says he will not negotiate on pay. And Ozzy Osbourne's family joined fans in an emotional farewell to the heavy metal star during a procession in Birmingham. Sharon Osbourne was joined by members of her family. She added a rose to hundreds of floral tributes and balloons laid around the Black Sabbath bench in the city, and tens of thousands of fans gathered to pay their respects, including these.
Great to be here and see so many people of all ages as well. It's not just my generation, but much younger people as well. It's a lovely day.
It's been a very cathartic day, and overall I'm very sad to see Ozzy go, but I think he'd be proud of the turnout today.
I think it's been very inspirational that he was so well loved. It's been a very sad day, very solemn, but we come out to pay our respects to him.
It's the Prince of Darkness. Rock and roll. So, yeah, very sad time.
And that is it for the moment. I'll be back with more at 11 o'clock. Now, over to Patrick.
For the very latest, GB News direct to your smartphone. Sign up to news alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good evening. The big news today is about the Manchester Airport incident. Mohammed Fahir Amaz was today convicted of attacking PC Lydia Ward and PC Ellie Cook in the car park pay station of Terminal 2 on July the 23rd last year. He was also found guilty of headbutting holidaymaker Abdul Karim Ismail, who he had accused of racially abusing his mother on an incoming flight. So he is guilty of all of those things that I've just mentioned. However, the jury could not reach majority verdicts on either Amaz or his older brother, Mohammed Ahmad, for the allegation of assault causing actual bodily harm on a male police officer. And this means that they face a retrial on that count. Amaz has been remanded in custody. His brother Ahmad has walked free. Now, because they face a retrial, we are still bound by contempt of court laws, which means we're going to have to leave this here for now, because there will likely be another jury trial at some stage in the future. And the last thing I want to do is prejudice that. However, one thing I can say without committing contempt of court is that when their lawyer walked into court wearing this last month, I'm surprised he didn't immediately get sentenced to life in prison for crimes against fashion. Moving on. So, in other news, brave military veterans who have fought for this country are being treated worse than illegal immigrants who've just broken into Britain. 12 veterans, some of whom suffer with chronic PTSD and have previously tried to take their own lives, are being evicted from their homes in Bolton. They're going to be turfed out of their homes within 2 months, and I caught up with a few of them last night.
Veterans, you know, we've not come over here in a boat. We've served our country. We're getting nothing. The country is going, you know, it's abysmal at the moment. You know, and it just doesn't seem that they care. But if you come across in a dinghy without a passport, yeah, there you go. There's a hotel. There's money. You know, do whatever you want. They haven't got a clue who they're letting in the country. We are veterans. We're part of the country, and we've got no rights. We've got nothing.
Yeah, they've got nowhere to go, and in some cases, no relatives who could take them in.
What they've got in place for us, if we do get evicted, they still didn't have an answer. They said we've got 2 months to do whatever. Like, stress levels in this building with all the boys and girls in here is just so high at the moment, you know what I mean? I'm 53 at the moment. If I get made homeless, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got no family now, you know what I mean? So I'm going to be stuck.
Bolton Council and the Housing Association were absolutely desperate to tell us, don't worry, we're not putting asylum seekers in there. That doesn't really matter, actually. It would be an additional kick in the nuts if these lads were turfed out for a group of asylum seekers. But the main point here is that they're still making veterans homeless. And the fact is, if they were asylum seekers, I think they'd be treated a lot better. You know, have a 4-star hotel, lads. You know, in one London borough, they'd have a free gym membership and access to a swimming pool. Veterans are already worried that Afghans we've brought over as part of that data leak are being prioritised for housing above them. You know, just think about that logically. We send blokes to fight a war in Afghanistan, watch their mates get blown up, get shot, and it's left some of them with horrific PTSD. And then they see Afghans, some of whom originally had their asylum claims rejected, being housed instead of them. Some of the Afghans that were sent to Bracknell under the scheme were housed in a 4-star hotel, given free English lessons and received medical treatment from the NHS. But the area's Labour-run council, which is responsible for housing the homeless, reportedly did not provide a home for a man called George Ford, who was a parachute regiment veteran and was left suffering from PTSD after being shot during a tour of Afghanistan. Albeit the council says that the housing scheme for Afghans did not affect council-provided housing or the local housing list. The Home Office has just taken over the huge Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf as an overflow facility for illegal immigrants. Right, OK. Why aren't we doing something similar for homeless military veterans? Did you know that 1 in every 400 veterans are homeless, sleeping rough, or living in a refuge? And I think we can show you a graph here which shows the reasons why homeless veterans say they're on the street. So they say that they left the military with no home to go to, which is a shocker, isn't it? There is a lack of affordable housing, or their mental health is too bad. I want to give a message to Bolton Council and other councils up and down the country who are evicting veterans, because I've got a feeling loads of them are at it. Don't you dare do it. We will find out about it, and we won't stand for it. Now, it's not too late for Bolton Council and the Housing Association to just apologise and rectify the situation. And I'm very politely warning them they do not want to pick a fight over this. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got Director of Public Services Mark Littlewood, Tory MP Esther McVeigh, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Mark, this whole thing about veterans basically being at the back of the queue, or certainly lower down the queue than people who have just arrived here, it makes my blood boil.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, there's been lots of debates, hasn't there, in recent months about two-tier justice in Britain. but we also have a two-tier welfare system. Now, I wouldn't actually mind that if we had a two-tier welfare system that prioritised Brits and veterans above those who had just arrived. But we've got a two-tier system the wrong way round, it appears. There are quite a lot of complexities, I think, in this individual case about why these evictions have taken place. But you're completely right in what you say, Patrick. It definitely generates, I was going to say the impression, but proves the reality that we've got our priorities bang on wrong.
Yeah.
If we've got money to buy that hotel, how has the state not got money to look after people who've actually served their country? Absolutely appalling. And it is the sort of thing that gets people's blood boiling, and rightly so, has to be corrected.
Yeah, I mean, these lads, I was supposed to last night, one of them sadly attempted to take his own life, thankfully was unsuccessful in that regard, but this is the kind of mental state that some of them are in as a result of the service that they've given to this country and the things that they've seen and the things that we've asked them to do. And for them to be threatened with eviction under any circumstances, I just think is ridiculous.
I watched the full interview, actually, last night, and I was outraged, and then I was deeply depressed. I thought, gosh, is that what you get? And you said it in the opening, didn't you? People who break into the country get more than people who fought for the country. And it is this sense of unfairness that the British public are now feeling. So when they are doing the protests on the street, when they're saying, look, 32,000 people now in hotels, some of them 4-star hotels, getting all this luxury, when we as Brits can't actually pay our rent, our mortgage and our bills, it's deeply unfair. They're also protesting that some of these people we've taken into the country to give them refuge are actually attacking vulnerable young girls as well. But it cannot be that we, the public, are being treated far worse. And this plays into that unfairness. It's wrong on every level.
The only reason that we can sit here tonight and have the kind of lives that we have and the nice stuff that we have and the enjoyment and all the luxuries that we have is because, frankly, there are very often very rough and tough men who are willing to go to places that we are unable or incapable of going and doing things that we are unable or incapable of doing. Going and operating in the shadows in far-flung corners of the world that hell holds, right, and coming out the other side of it. We owe a huge amount of debt of gratitude to those people. And to see some of those people threatened with homelessness in Bolton, it just makes me feel sick, Nina.
I agree completely. We should value our service people, but we just haven't. And I just want to correct a point. Bolton Council have not given them eviction orders. It's a housing association, a housing company called Qualities.
But their homelessness will be happening on Bolton Council's watch.
Yeah, but Bolton Council's made a statement and said they are going to be working with them to find them accommodation. So Bolton Council is not necessarily the ones to blame, to be perfectly honest. We do not value our service people at all. I think it's quite hypocritical, Esther, of you to go on about this, because under the Tories, it's not just the veterans who are not valued, it's the serving Army, Navy and Air Force who are not valued. You dumped 10,000 of them, so you handed over an army that is the smallest since the Napoleonic War. The conditions that the serving troops have to live in are outrageous. Mouldy accommodation, places that haven't been updated for 40 years, and being sent into battle with inadequate equipment. That's all been proven in the past. And they have no faith, most of them, in their equipment or what they're being asked to do. Only 30% of people in the RAF or the Army think that they are adequately prepared and kitted out, apart from anything else. So let's just say we have not appreciated them or treated them well. And this is the tail end of it.
Nina,
this is the worst.
I'm sorry you had to personalise that to call me a hypocrite, because I've actually always stood on the side of veterans. So again, you got your facts wrong.
No,
so I didn't. I didn't
get my facts wrong.
Yeah, you did.
You were part of a government that decimated the army.
The solution to all of this is we've got to reconfigure our entire welfare system. And I include housing for veterans, hotels for asylum seekers within that. We don't have a contributory welfare system, by and large. Most of the rest of the Western world does. And I think we've got to get to a system in which those who have paid in, and you might well get credits, extra credits for being in the armed services, for example, are those who can take out. Unfortunately, at the moment, we have a welfare system which is just money flows into central government and then central and local government hand it out. I actually want people who have contributed to the country through national insurance contributions, that's what they're supposed to be there, but in other ways too, to be at the top of the list for any money when it's needed.
You'll know, Mark, and that is, you're spot on. The way it was set up originally, it was about universality, and therefore it never, ever sort of moved on from there. But what we are saying, and I think you can see this with this housing there, people are saying, who is paying the most? How am I getting the most housing benefit? And I think you do need to watch out what's going to happen to that particular housing, because they're looking for supported exempt accommodation, which you get the most money, because you say you're supporting people, plus the benefit is paid directly to you and not the individual. And if you look at the list who will get exempted supported accommodation, it'll be people who are vulnerable, and actually those veterans should be. But oh no, refugees will be on that. Other people will be on that because they need extra support, and that's why you get extra money.
But you can definitely say the veterans have contributed much more to this country than people.
No, I'm just explaining how that housing benefit and what it would appear to me that housing group is wanting to do. It's get exempted, supported accommodation money.
Why is any illegal immigrant in any accommodation whilst we still have veterans on the streets?
Well, under the Tory government, the whole hotel system was started.
Stop playing the same tune.
No, you can't change the facts because it's true.
And
you started the hotel system. That you lost control of the borders. You gave us a series of completely inept, idiotic prime ministers who didn't look at Boris. He threw the borders open. The hotels were generated.
Why are
veterans on the street? I'm opposed to attacking the government.
That should pretty much be Rule 101, right? Whilst you have men and women, potentially, who have served this country and, you know, maybe in some cases lost a leg or suffered the catastrophic mental health consequence of it, whilst you've got any of them on the streets, you do not put someone who's just come across in a boat in a hotel. You've got to sort that out first.
You have to. I agree. You have to look after the veterans. They deserve to be looked after. But the thing is, once they're on the streets and homeless, it's sometimes very hard to get them back into.
It's a brutal thing, isn't it? Yeah. But you basically need to set some priorities.
Yes.
And I don't, you know, I mean, it might not suit them, so I'm rather flippantly suggesting this, but I would have thought these poor veterans you've spoken to should get first dibs on the nice rooms in the Britannia Hotel, Canary Wharf, ahead of any asylum seekers.
But if you've had 900 people come into the country today, and this is Starmer's collapse, he's not taking it seriously enough. He is not doing the Rwanda scheme. He's not coming out of the ECHR. He's not getting rid of the Human Rights Act.
You can't just go and say we're out of the ECHR. You can't just do that.
What we can do, right, is that of those 900 people who illegally entered Britain today, I will guarantee you that as we speak right now, every single one of them will have some form of roof over their head.
Well, there's certainly efforts being made in that direction.
Absolutely.
And that is the
how many veterans have we housed today? How many veterans have we housed today? Probably none. Probably not. I find it bonkers. It's priority, isn't it? I've got quite a chunky right of reply to read now, so sorry, but bear with me. We reached out to Bolton Council for comments on this matter. We have summarised it. They've said, we have confirmed with Qualitas Housing, and they are the housing association in question here, that there are no plans to house asylum seekers in Constellation House, dismissing recent claims as entirely false. We've never claimed that they were going to house asylum seekers in there. I made that very clear. They say that the property's owner, Qualitas Housing, issued eviction notices to current residents, not at the council's direction, but due to financial reasons. Qualitas had applied to qualify for housing payment benefits meant for the providers of supported accommodation, such as for veterans, but failed to meet the necessary criteria. Now, Bolton Council only became aware of the evictions after the notices were issued and is now reaching out to affected tenants to offer support. Now, that's all well and good, OK, fair enough, but I'm quite sceptical of that, and I do want to issue a little warning to Bolton Council here. I have looked at how much money it costs to rent a tank, right? And I'm perfectly happy to find out where your offices are and park that tank right outside here and film it and make a mockery of it until you get those blokes housing. And don't think I'm joking with that. Anyway, yeah, absolutely. I've got it on my phone here. You can hire a tank quite easily, and I'm perfectly willing to foot the cost and park that tank right outside your office.
I hope it's not an Ajax tank, which the last government spent $5.5 billion on.
Here we go, Nina.
And they can't reverse it.
Play that tune again, Nina. Play that tune again.
Because it's an old tune and it's still true.
Look, Bolton Council is very easy. See, you don't have to let veterans go homeless on your watch. You can do something about it, or the tank arrives. Anyway, the final week now to see how you could become 54,321 quid richer in the Great British Giveaway. Friday the 1st of August is when the phone lines close, so here's how you can be in it to win it.
There's only 2 days left to see how you could be our biggest cash winner to date. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British Giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. You have to hurry, as lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, so coming up, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, but next.
That His Majesty's government therefore intends to recognise the state of Palestine.
Grief. The US has now joined Israel in accusing the UK of rewarding Hamas by recognising the state of Palestine. For what it's worth, Hamas has also thanked us, so that's great, isn't it? Are we about to suffer as a result of yet another terrible decision from Sir Keir Starmer? Stay tuned.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight. On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is the small boat crossing that everyone can cheer on, going from Fulham all the way back to HMS President in the city of London. It's going very well. I've walked 10 miles this morning with some Armed Forces veterans, their families, campaigners. GB News is raising money for SAFA and other Armed Forces charities as part of that Armed Forces Day celebration. Amazing viewers and listeners have raised £2,000 already. And after that gruelling 10-miler, which I have to say was done at quite a gentle pace, are now being treated to this luxurious return back to the starting point on board an HMS, a Royal Navy vessel. This is President 01. This is a training vessel that they use for reservists and also Royal Navy sailors as they make use of the Thames. We've had some great sights already. As we've been going back, we've seen plenty of people taking part in that SAFA 13 Bridges march, waving down on us. I think they were probably slightly jealous that they're still working away and we're enjoying the hospitality of the Royal Navy. But over 1,200 people taking part today, Dawn. Over 150 of them military reservists like myself and Will Mayrick, the producer for today's programme, doing excellent work. He's an RAF officer, in fact, I have to call him sir, which can get very embarrassing. But we're doing great work today, I think, really showcasing the armed forces. It's been amazing to speak to so many veterans, their families, and also many serving personnel on this march day as well. And we're just coming under, there's Vauxhall Bridge there, we've got MI6 to the right, very exciting. Always a beautiful sight, that iconic building. And there's going to be a lot of people still on the march as we go past, we accept. We just had some waves from the bridge earlier.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back. Well, huge news this, isn't it? The decision to recognise a state of Palestine has already upset the Americans, who've reportedly called the decision stupid. And certainly it did not impress the Israelis, who claims that it rewards monstrous terrorism. But there's one group who are absolutely thrilled. Hamas. A senior Hamas official has welcomed the decision, saying victory and liberation are closer than we expected. But don't worry, we've got this guy to handle all of that.
And so it is with the hand of history on our shoulders that His Majesty's government therefore intends to recognise the state of Palestine.
Right, OK, for anyone who's still awake, maybe, just maybe, if Hamas are congratulating you, Mr Lamy, and indeed Sir Keir, it's time to have a little rethink. I'm joined now by the Executive Director, Foundation for Defence of Democracies, Jonathan Shanzer. Jonathan, thank you very, very much. So Hamas are happy, aren't they?
Oh, they're quite happy. I think within a day or so of the announcement, they came out and thanked the UK government. That, as you noted, should not be a good sign. But I think we need to understand the broader situation here, which is that the Palestinian Authority, the what would be the government recognized by the UK, is beyond corrupt. I mean, they have just wasted hundreds of millions of dollars in international aid. They continue to pay the salaries of terrorists that are languishing in Israeli jails. They're paying the families as a perk for those people that have carried out murders. They don't control their own territory. So what the UK government right now is doing is that it's proposing the recognition of a failed state in the Middle East. And if you ask me, I think there are enough failed states in the Middle East to last us for a lifetime. We're watching it right now. How many more do we need?
Well, quite, yes. Sir Keir Starmer did not include the return of the hostages in his video message to the nation yesterday. He then tried to backtrack a little bit on that and say that in some kind of written statement he had put it in there. But what kind of message does that send, do you think?
A terrible one, and I think your Prime Minister should have known better that if you're going to try to pull off a stunt like this, and I do believe it's a stunt, I believe it's an attempt to placate certain segments of the British population, or maybe to appear like he's virtue signaling to the rest of the world for that matter. But you've got to be a bit more even-handed as it relates to Hamas. You've got to remember that we wouldn't be here right now had it not been for the attacks of October 7th, the hostages that were taken, the 1,200 murdered. And again, I think one other thing that the Prime Minister neglected to note is that, you know, this entire war that we've been watching that led us to this moment, this has been an Iran-backed endeavor. That it's the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is, of course, an enemy of Great Britain.
Absolutely.
They stand behind so much of this.
Look, I just wanted to, just because we're playing some footage on the screen now of what we're seeing in Gaza, and a lot of people are you know, clearly and rightly very concerned about the humanitarian situation in Gaza. However, one thing I will say is we're currently looking at a lot of Hamas fighters. And gosh, they look very well fed, don't they, those Hamas fighters? Certainly doesn't look like there's any shortage of food for Hamas. So I do find that something that maybe people could be raising a little bit more when it comes to this. But how bad is it for Sir Keir Starmer now that the Americans and the Israelis appear to think that what we're doing is both thick and dangerous?
Well, I think there was probably very little risk for the Prime Minister to come out and take positions that were at odds with Israel or for the United States. It's not as if things have been perfect between the Israelis and this government, or certainly the United States and this government. And so I think there was very little risk from that perspective. But I have to say that there is a broader historical lens that we need to be looking at here right now. The British government, you know, whether that was the intention or not, has done an immense amount of damage over the last century or so in the Middle East, trying to redraw maps, trying to pick favorites in the region. They're doing it again right now. And when I see your foreign minister get up at the United Nations and say that the hand of history is on your shoulder and that they're trying to do the right thing, I've got to say, boy, read a history book. That is just remarkable that there's a complete ignorance of the damage that the UK and the French and many others have done in this region. It is the intervention of foreign powers that have brought us to this moment in many ways.
Yeah. I mean, he's made a complete horlicks of it, Sir Keir Starmer, yes, again, with the hostage situation, as we've said, alienating two of our great allies in all of this, the Israelis and the Americans. My big concern here, and some people might interpret what I'm about to say as well, if this happens, then maybe the Israelis aren't really our friends, but that's not how I mean it. But the Israelis might be able to show us, actually, exactly how much we rely on them for intelligence and terrorism prevention in this country. And I worry about what alienating them might mean for us here in Britain.
Look, I would worry about that too. I don't think the Israelis are going to withhold information about imminent attacks, against the UK. I certainly don't think that they would do that. They wouldn't go out of their way to make things worse or to, allow for a mass casualty event to take place. But absolutely, the technology that Israel has developed, the intelligence sources that it has across the region, it's vital to the entire Western alliance. And I think that the UK ignores that at its peril right now. And I also think that what they're ignoring more than anything else is that the Israelis are really one of the only stable countries in the region right now, and that really the UK ought to be working with the Israelis, maybe the Jordanians, maybe the Greeks and the Cypriots, but how many others are left here that the UK can rely upon to be a stable force in the region?
The message here, I think, is, a lot of people have pointed this out. Sir Keir Starmer might wrap it up as a kind of, humanitarian issue. He cares about the people of Gaza and all of that. Really, we've just got a new hard left-wing party that's emerged here that is all about Palestine. It's just a party that's designed singularly around the cause of Gaza. And he's doing this, in my view, to try to appease them. And the message that sends out, unfortunately, I think, is that we have a leader in this country who, if you invade a sovereign country who is an ally, you rape and you pillage and you do all sorts of horrific things and you take hostages and you keep enough of a fuss about it, eventually, a year or two later, we might recognise you as a state. And that is a very, very concerning position to be in. But, Jonathan, thank you very much. You take care, and I hope to chat to you again very soon. Jonathan Shanza there is Executive Director of the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. Right, well, look, hey, no doubt Keir Starmer will do what he always does, which is hide behind some weird UN regulation or something. But coming up next, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. And have you ever thought about Jet2 holiday?
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person.
I'll explain what that is shortly. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The heatwave is now easing across parts of Greece and also parts of Turkey, but elsewhere across Europe, still some humid air creating thundery downpours. But across the west, particularly across Portugal, Spain, most of France, it's largely dry, plenty of sunshine. But across parts of Germany, northern parts of Italy, still a chance of some quite intense thundery downpours. And also still across parts of Greece and Bulgaria, we could start to see some outbreaks of rain. But otherwise, for the large majority, plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A thunderstorm warning has been issued for tomorrow across central and southeastern parts of England, so a chance that we could start to see some travel disruption. But for the time being, high pressure remaining largely dominant, particularly across the southwest. But this at times swinging in frontal systems, so that means more cloud, also some light outbreaks of rain to end the day across Scotland. But for most of the night, it should remain mostly dry. Then we need to draw our attention to areas of Wales, central parts of England. We'll start to see some showery outbreaks move their way through across dawn. And for all, it is going to be quite a mild and muggy night to come. Some towns and cities not dropping much past 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. Then during the early hours of the morning, across Scotland, once again, it's set to be quite cloudy, possibly quite murky at times. Light outbreaks of rain in western areas, but across Aberdeenshire, some of these areas of rain could turn quite heavy at times. A chance of some showers across Northern Ireland, but northern parts of England should remain mostly dry. Now, still plenty of showers across parts of Wales, perhaps some isolated showers too across parts of the southeast. And through the morning, we'll start to see more and more of these showers across the south, banding together to give persistent outbreaks of rain at times. And into the afternoon, this could also turn thundery, so we're likely to see some hail and also some frequent lightning. Also a chance we could see some thundery showers across eastern parts of Scotland and northeastern parts of England. But elsewhere, particularly across the west, there should still be plenty of sunshine. Another warm, muggy day to come, highs once again reaching around 25 degrees Celsius across the south. Now, we'll see those showers ease away Thursday night, which means a much brighter day on Friday. Still a chance of showers mainly across eastern coasts, but these should be mostly light to moderate. And it could be quite breezy at times too across eastern coastal areas, but mostly dry into Saturday. Different story on Sunday, though, as we see a return of outbreaks of rain move in from the west, but still once again warm in any sunshine.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Let's deal with tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Heathrow chaos brings days of delays. So that's a story that we can talk about. That immigration fuels record population growth 2 years in a row is another one. The Sun have gone for Air We Go Again. Tech glitch grounds UK jets. Holes ruined for thousands. The sidebar there is, of course, gosh bless her, Sharon Osbourne laying a rose for her beloved Aussie at that procession in Birmingham. The Daily Express, new clues to location of Moore's murder victim. Pages thought to be missing from the Moore's killer Ian Brady's memoir may reveal where he buried victim Keith Bennett. The Independent, Arab nations urge Hamas to disarm and end the Gaza rule. Again, their picture story is of Ozzy Osbourne's farewell. The Metro, Sharon's tears for her Ozzy. Fans line streets to say goodbye to a rock icon. I don't know about however people felt watching this, but for me, Sharon Osbourne's always like such an iconic, kind of powerful woman, you know, when she's been a judge on several reality shows as well and things like that, and to see her in that kind of
She's such a very, very strong woman, and therefore to see her like that, you're quite right, is really heartbreaking, because, you know, over 40 years they were together, and it was an extraordinary love story that, despite everything...
Totally unique love story.
Absolutely. It survived, God knows, all sorts of, you know, dramas and turmoil, but it was a true love story. And you just have to see that and wonder how she must be.
There is one more front page here. I'll round us off. It's the Eye. UK plan to get aid trucks into Gaza as Starmer joins allies in new warning to Israel. Right, let's deal with the flight chaos, can we? It's on the front of the E, it's on the front of a couple of them. The Daily Telegraph. Mark, so Heathrow... Well, what, the skies are shut, are they?
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, look, we've got to get to the bottom of it. There's some suggestion here it might have been hacked, it might be foreign interference, I don't know.
Do we know if the guy, the head of Heathrow, is awake again yet?
Well, quite.
Exactly.
But I mean...
Imagine it.
It's just part and parcel of nothing works in Britain, isn't it? I mean, a functioning country needs to have an air traffic control system that doesn't collapse because of a glitch. Now, I'm open to the suggestion that some foreign agency or power has hacked into it, but we should be strong enough and have the cyber security to stop it. This is the busiest day, I think, wasn't it, for people going away on holiday, or one of the busiest days in the year. Nothing works in Britain. Why? It's goddamn infuriating.
I'll read a bit more detail in the Telegraph and I'll throw it your way, Esther. Holidaymakers are facing days of travel chaos as air traffic control failures grounded flights across the UK. Airspace across Britain was closed because of radar issues that disrupted hundreds of flights. It just seems a bit bonkers.
So obviously you've got the cost, you've got the chaos, you've got the delays, you've got all the knock-on effects. But actually there's a big knock-on effect, and I think that's reputational impact and also faith in flying. Because if we don't know what the problem is, whether it has been hacked, whether it is a technical issue, and I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago on the Bank Holiday Monday, supposedly somebody just imported a flight plan detail in which went wrong and it brought the skies down. I find that very hard to believe. And we were sort of the best in the world at sort of air traffic control. And this, to me, questions my faith in flying. Yeah. And how much do you think Heathrow will lose from this as people divert to other main hubs around the world?
Well, apparently, affected travellers, Nina, are unlikely to be eligible for compensation because the incident was out of the control of the airlines, who would otherwise pay.
Well, exactly. And the thing is, you're supposed to get accommodation and all of that. Well, people, from coming out from Africa to here were diverted to Paris. All these planes diverted all over the place. There aren't the hotels to put them up, apart, and never mind compensation. It seems terrifying. I mean, air traffic control must be the most horrendous job. I mean, I don't even dare think about it. But we need to know that these people are competent and they have a system which works. It used to be the only problems that we had were when the French were on strike, say, and so we couldn't go over French airspace. That used to happen a lot. That's the least of our problems these days.
I don't know if this is just me, and I've had a kind of run of bad luck on flying over the last couple of years, but I'd be interested to know what the viewers and listeners think of this. I feel like it's getting worse. I also feel like the quality of the airlines are getting worse. British Airways, which I think is a real shame because it is our flag bearer, it's now a budget airline completely. You get on there, the amount of times I've been on there recently, the toilets were completely blocked. It was literally like I opened the door once, and unless I'd wanted to swim in sewage, then there was no way I was going in there. Then we've got delays, cancellation. One time they dropped me at the wrong airport, dropped me at Stansted as opposed to where I should have been.
Easy mistake to make.
Yeah, easy. Oh, whoopsie, make your own way back from there. They've run out of food all the time. It just seems like air travel has got
shoddy.
It's got worse. And you see those old pictures and videos, don't you, of what air travel used to be like?
Yeah,
bring around like the buffet cart.
I agree with you that quality might have gone down, but let's celebrate every airline becoming a budget airline. I mean, way back in the day, you had to be very rich to be able to fly certainly long haul anywhere. We're now putting that within the hands of ordinary people. But I agree, anecdote alert, but I've had the same experience. I've just got back from a holiday in Mallorca. My flight took off, got nearly halfway there, at which point the captain says, "I'm terribly sorry, one of the computers is broken. We are going back to Gatwick." We were nearly halfway to the
Gatwick.
You'd be
and then it wouldn't be so bad.
I wanted to have a referendum amongst the passengers about whether we should just continue to Mallorca. But, look, safety first, I guess, but it was one computer system. There were two backups. So that meant we were 5 hours late overall. This seems to be not the norm now, but it seems to happen rather more frequently than it used to.
You need the highest safety standards. So that's what we've got to make sure. I mean, 34,000 feet in it. So what I meant is to not know whether it's a technical glitch, to not know
or
what
hacking.
it is.
The thing is,
exactly.
If it was hacking, they'd never tell us. That's the thing, would they? They're not.
Well, they've got to properly investigate this. And NATS, is that the name of the air traffic control company?
Yeah.
I mean.
You do have to explain what it is. And the CAA has always been excellent at its explanation and excellent at its safety record. And they do need to explain what it is, because only then, when you know, can you actually solve the problem.
You're right about the trust thing there. I mean, there are certain airports I no longer particularly want to fly into. like I don't want to ever go to Luton, nothing to do with the airport. But now with this, you know, we're thinking about Heathrow. You know, do you really go to Heathrow? You guarantee? I don't mind about coming back. It's the leave, it's the getting out.
Yeah, the getting out's the trouble.
Talking to, I tell you what though, this is a good one. It's related as well. It's almost like we planned it, which of course we didn't. I don't know if you've been following the viral Jet2 holiday meme, but I kid you not, it's reached the White House.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4. But now, with Jet2 holidays.
Yeah, there you go. It's a deportation flight for anyone who didn't quite understand that from that point on. So there we go. We're out of time for this segment, although I can see that there's some people who look very angry about that particular glorification of deportation. So we will probably return to that in just a couple of moments' time. Stay tuned.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
What I want to talk about now, though, is a Christian street preacher who was shut down by London's Transport Police outside King's Cross Station. Now, she has exclusively spoken to GB News, claiming that Christians are being heavily persecuted in this country and that police are not doing this to other religious speakers. Shocking, indeed, if true. Well, are we living in this two-tier approach by the authorities that we hear so much about? I'm delighted to say I am joined now in the studio by that street preacher herself, Monique Bailey.
It is true that the police did tell us that you need a permit, so that is truth, but it's the way it was handled. She was very... It was just astonishing. I just couldn't believe how a police person could come against us like that. Like, we were abiding by the rules. And by the way, I didn't actually put the full clip on just to, in a way, save her, because it actually got worse.
OK.
Yeah.
Monique, can I just quickly ask, if you take a step back and look at Britain, you know, as a Christian, you see the demonstrations that we've had since October 7th, some would say pro-Hamas, anti-Israel demonstrations, pretty overt displays of anti-Semitism. We've had the Lucy Connolly case. We've had, I would argue, clear evidence of a two-tier approach within our judicial legal system. Do you think that we are actually now entering a society where some groups, some religions are treated much more harshly than others? Do you think, for example, if you had been a Muslim preacher in King's Cross Station, the reaction would have been the same?
Yeah, of course, every religion gets something thrown at them, but I do think, of course, Christianity is the most persecuted, and I do think we will see it more.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. We've got 3 more front pages for you. Let's do it. So we're starting with the Times. Palestine vow breaks law, claims top lawyers. Oh, good. Is Keir Starmer about to be brought down by international lawyers? Oh, yes, the irony. Some of Britain's most prominent lawyers have warned Sir Keir Starmer his government's pledge to recognise a Palestinian state risks breaking international law.
Brilliant. It's the Montevideo Convention, 1933, on what is a state. And as the Times points out, this is 40 members of the House of Lords have written to Lord Hermer. And the government's commitment is that international law goes, quote, absolutely to the heart of its foreign policy.
And there's
live by international law, die by international law.
Criteria that you've got to adhere to for a state, and it looks like they've not adhered to any of them. But this, again, to me, is just Keir Starmer, isn't it? Has a phrase or has an expression like smash the gangs or whatever it is. This one was the state for Palestine. Hasn't thought of layer 2, hasn't thought about does it adhere to it, is it what a state is, and how he's going to deliver it. But it won't matter.
But you see, this is it. It won't matter. So international law is so important that we paid Mauritius to take our islands off us. But in this case now, international lawyers are saying this Palestine pledge just is unlawful. But he'll probably crack on with it.
Interestingly, Lord Mandelson has signed this as well. It says it's 40 lords. A lot of them are all either international sort of legal experts and what have you. But Lord Mandelson signed it.
There you go.
But he'll probably press ahead with it anyway, Nina.
Well, the thing is, what nobody has mentioned is what's on our screens every day, every night, of starving children, hungry children, kids with malnutrition, which are just heartbreaking. And people want something to happen. We need to somehow get aid to these people. And if
that doesn't require you to recognise a state, does it?
If it's a warning of a recognition, if that pressure can be brought to bear in some way to influence the other nations to join some kind of pressure group on Israel to allow aid and water in and medical supplies.
I know we don't quite have the time to get stuck into that at the moment, but because I've got a couple more from page to bring you quickly. The Guardian, Palestine Action wins the right to fight their ban in court. So the co-founder of Palestine Action is going to be taking Yvette Cooper's decision to class them as terrorists right to the top. But let's just finish us off with the Daily Mail. Shame on you, Starmer. A freed British-Israeli hostage leads victims of October the 7th atrocity in condemning the Prime Minister. Yeah, I mean, is he going to take notice, do we think? And their picture story again at the bottom is devastated Sharon Osbourne's tears for Aussie as his hometown bids farewell. We've only got a minute or so left, so what I wanted to do was bring you what I'm hoping is actually some quite dramatic footage of when the tsunami warnings were issued following. This is the largest earthquake the world has seen for 15 years, apparently, it is. And this is what happened. OK, looked more like a big wave, that. However, there is some other footage that we might show you later that is more devastating. Anyway, thankfully, the tsunami warning was downgraded. So there we are. Anyway, it makes me glad that the UK isn't near any fault lines. That's for sure. But yes, I mean, it was obviously quite devastating. You've been involved in a tsunami. You look like a man who's been involved in a tsunami.
I always look like I've been permanently involved in a tsunami, but usually metaphorically, not literally. Look, the great news here, Patrick, is that the footage isn't dramatic. I mean, in fact, mankind has got better and better at dealing with these natural disasters. We've cut casualties from natural disasters by 99% in 100 years. And that makes me feel that actually we can deal with pretty much anything the world hits us with. Like climate change or earthquakes. if that's the best at 8.8 Richter scale. I mean,
bring it on.
But I would say bring it on.
Bring
but
it
it's
on.
great that we can cope.
No, don't say that.
We are immensely more resilient than we could have imagined a generation ago.
I think that's a foolishly arrogant attitude.
All right, fair enough. Just on that note, by the way, I am going to tell you now about 2 stories that I'm doing in the next hour. We've got all the front pages again, but we've got a big update that Esther's brought to us about a migrant hotel in the Wirral, which is going to get a lot of people very angry. The other story is that there is a 7-mile-long object hurtling towards space on its way to Earth, apparently, and scientists, yes, real scientists, worry that it is genuinely a hostile alien craft. So stay tuned.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A thunderstorm warning has been issued for tomorrow across central and southeastern parts of England, so a chance that we could start to see some travel disruption. But for the time being, high pressure remaining largely dominant, particularly across the southwest. But this at times swinging in frontal systems, so that means more cloud, also some light outbreaks of rain to end the day across Scotland. But for most of the night, it should remain mostly dry. Then we need to draw our attention to areas of Wales, central parts of England. We'll start to see some showery outbreaks move their way through across dawn. And for all, it is going to be